Behind a dominant first half, the Badgers declawed Northwestern, but do we have concerns about what we saw in the second half? And is there a new starting lineup in Madison we got to talk about? Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On the number one sports podcast network. I really appreciate it. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, head over to FanDuel.com. Place your live NFL bets all season long. Rajiv, we got to talk. Badgers have a nice win here. Not the cleanest second half. We're going to talk about it, but Badgers do start Big Ten play with a victory. That's where you want to go. We're going to talk about Blackwell, Boyd, all the good things we saw, what went right, what went wrong, player of the game, maybe touch a tiny bit on NST because we haven't talked National Signing Day with you. But let's start here, man. Big picture. What'd you like today? What'd you see today?
Yeah, big picture, I think that you can never underestimate the value of getting those Big Ten wins in December. There's 2 games every December. Last year, we went 0-2 in those 2 games. This year, hopefully we can go 2-0. We got Nebraska coming up in next week. And I think that's really critical. And, your Northwestern's not a very good team, okay? And, but we beat them. We beat them soundly. It wasn't the cleanest second half, but we did what we're supposed to do. You want to beat the teams you need to beat. It doesn't matter how bad they are. If you can get it done and have that kind of first half performance from the players that we're going to talk about, that's awesome. And you need to do that. Go ask Indiana, who played a bad Minnesota team today, what happens when you take teams lightly. Like this is Big Ten play. You have 20 games. You and I have talked about this before. I love the Big Ten regular season. It's 20 games. It's a dogfight the whole way. You got to get every win and dominate it. And I thought the guys played so well in the first half. Andrew Rohde, John Blackwell, we'll talk about all the guys and what they did, but they're just the unselfishness in the first half was great to see. The shooting obviously was there. I thought defensively there was a really good effort. I thought it was really smart to attack the lane a little bit more. A lot of good things from a coaching perspective, from a player perspective, but ultimately 1-0 in conference is exactly where you need to be. Who doesn't matter who you play. You got to get those wins and stack them up because you are going to lose games you're not supposed to lose. Good job winning this game and way to take control.
I think it's really well said. For the record, we do not have Mike behind the mic today. I'm going to point that out in case he listens. This is more difficult for me right now. I'm multitasking. I'm also running on 2 hours of sleep. So there's a lot of things happening right now. I think my big picture takeaway, and Rajiv, there's a lot of comments in here. R. Smith, tale of 2 halves. Second half, not so good. Steve, not an impressive win. Only winning by 12 is embarrassing. Good thing they only played Northwestern once. Northwestern totally outplayed them in the second half. This feels like a very angry fan chat, at least chat group. And I kind of feel like I don't love taking the foot off the gas in the second half. I've talked about this before. You have to set habits as a team. You can't, especially against better teams, you can't play 28 good minutes or 30 good minutes. And there was a 10, 12-minute stretch in the second half. They didn't play well. Where I would start, though, is a positive, because I'm a generally positive guy. I think in that first half, you saw glimpses of that offense starting to coalesce. They were hitting the paint more. They were driving and kicking. There were multiple efforts where John Blackwell was getting into the paint and then kind of taking his time and trying to find something. Yep. Boyd getting in the paint and kicking. There were multiple spots, and I'm watching specifically for the pick and roll because they've done a lot of pick and pop. They've really been trying to space it. There's a lot more hard rolls in this game. Get somebody in the paint, whether it's Bialuskis, whether it's Winter, whether it's whomever. I thought they did a much better job, Rajiv, of trying to attack the paint to set up open threes, which is why they scored 55 in the first half. I think you're seeing what this offense can be. So that was encouraging to me.
Yeah, and they did take their foot off the gas, and that is upsetting to me too. But I'm also just like, look, we had won this game before halftime. When you're up 23 at half, the game's over. Yes, they clawed back into it, but a Big Ten team is always going to find their way back in a game like this. You're not just going to destroy a team that you're up 30 at halftime. It's gonna come back close. But yes, there's things to take away from that. And I saw there's a comment here about being a teachable moment, which I think is true. It's a teachable moment. But it's a teachable moment in a game that we won. I'd much rather we won this game than if we would have given it away a couple years ago and we blew a 19-point lead in Nebraska. We didn't blow the lead. We won the game. We had good performances from a lot of good guys. And yes, as the opponents get tougher, they're going to play more and they're not going to have took their foot off the gas. And I'm not saying I condone taking their foot off the gas, but at least it's in a game you were already dominating. And, there were so many good things. I don't think we can take things away from that. We're 1-0, and I'm going to be okay with that. It's not perfect, but I like the fact that this team did so many things differently in the first half and played their asses off, and it showed. And had we seen that for the whole game, yeah, it'd have been awesome. But we still got the win.
Yeah, by double digits in the Big Ten. Again, Northwestern's not great, but it's hard sometimes to keep. It's almost easier sometimes when the game is 9 or 8 in the second half. When you get up by 25, it is sometimes easy to let your foot off the gas. Arlang says 1-0 in the Big Ten. Quit complaining. Be happy they didn't blow the game.
For sure.
Bro says that we are fine, built a big lead and took it easy the rest of the way. It's fine. Again, I don't think it's necessarily fine that you took it easy, but I don't want to make too much out of it either. Rajiv, different starting lineup. I want to ask you this. Do you like Bialuskis in the starting lineup and maybe Austin Rapp coming off the bench? Because I kind of like it. I kind of like having I don't want to say microwave score. It's too early to call Austin Rapp that. But bench scoring has been an issue for this team. Bialuskis almost feels like he might be a better fit with the starters. I think he's maybe a little more rugged, maybe a little better defensively, maybe a little better on the glass. And you don't necessarily need more scoring punch when you have Boyd and you have Blackwell and you have Winter. Meanwhile, you can take Austin Rapp off the bench and inject some immediate scoring punch in there. I kind of like this switch up if guard stays with it.
Yeah, well said. I totally agree with you. I think that you need the guy that can be a bit more of a bruiser down low. The ball can touch the post easier with Bialuskis in there. And I feel like I always say his name wrong. Bialauskis, I think is the way to say it.
We all say it wrong. I'm convinced we all say it wrong.
Yeah, I know. We probably all do. But yeah, so no, I think it's really good. And I first of all, it gives the freshman more confidence too. Like, and his game can develop. Rapp can come off the bench. I agree with that. Provide that instant scoring, and it will advance. Bialuskis' game right away as well. And Rapp can do that scoring. And I just like the profile that AB brings, in the starting lineup, because as you play more Big Ten bigs, they're not going to be easy to deal with. And I feel like Bialauskis can deal with him a little bit easier than Winter and Rapp. So I'm perfectly happy with him coming in there and starting.
I agree. I think he's just a little more physically ready.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not even from a body standpoint, but there's just almost like something from playing overseas, right? Like, this is something that it feels a little more rugged to his game right now.
He plays more physical. Like, we talk about how Winter doesn't have that physicality that we want. Well, Rapp doesn't either. But Bialauskis actually does have that physicality, or at least he plays closer to that level, at least in my head, that I want to see from my bigs. And I feel like he's closer to that profile, which is great.
The other question here I want to hit you. It feels like the rotation's already no longer do you have the 10-man rotation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even Will Garlock feels like he's there, but he got 8 minutes today. It was really just an 8-man rotation with about 8 minutes of Garlock. That feels like where they're going with this. Thoughts on this kind of Titan rotation? Do you like it? Is this where you want it to be? Anybody need more minutes in your opinion?
No, I think it's about where I feel like it should be. I think that Janicki and Carrington, the hot hand, can play more in a given game. I thought Janicki had a pretty decent game today, and I think that Carrington missed. He took 2 shots. He missed it. Took 3 shots, but I think that those 2 guys coming off the bench as the guards make sense, and whoever you can play more as you needed. And obviously, Rapp or Bialauskis, whoever's off the bench is fine. Garlock, I think, does provide important minutes, and I like that he's getting that 8 to 10 minutes a game, because we're going to need him when we get in foul trouble. There's going to be a game where Winter and Bialauskis have 2 fouls early, and we're going to need Garlock to play there. So he needs to develop, and I like that. He also brings that physicality, some good passing from him too. But no, I'm happy with it. I think if you're going to bring anyone else in, it's Hayden Jones. I feel like we'll just kind of see how this team works out. And if you can find ways to get Jones in there and slowly build up his minutes if it's needed, then fine. I think if you ever have an injury on this team, that's when you're going to see a guy like Hayden Jones. Which is where some of those early minutes are going to be beneficial, right? He's already played against some pretty good teams. You bloodied him a little bit, for lack of a better term. But yeah, he does feel like a guy that now when we're getting into Big Ten play, those minutes are going to get siphoned off a little bit. Thoughts on, I want to ask you this. Do you love, because this has been the big talking point, really. I think there's been a couple talking points, but the big one has really been the Boyd-Blackwell dynamic. And you and I were talking a little before the show. Next segment, we're going to get into player of the game, player we needed to see more from, but it still doesn't. And we had a good comment up here that starred. It feels like a lot of players that are still playing individually. This team is still a bunch of individuals learning to play together. I think we have a high ceiling, but we need to continue to get together and improve. To me, it still feels like they're trying to find the balance between their 2 alphas. And in this game, you saw it again, specifically in the second half. Yeah, I mean, it's something that I definitely feel like I noticed that, in the second half, Boyd's scoring is super important. It's very critical to what we're doing. Like, he obviously can drive the lane with it. As soon as if you give him a step with his left hand, you're toast. He's going to get to the rim. But I do think there are times where I want him to be a little bit more unselfish and look for Blackwell. There were times where Blackwell was wide open, waving his hands behind the 3-point line in the second half, and he would not pass him the ball. He would never hit the open Blackwell, which is bothersome to me because why are you not doing that? You're our point guard. Your first thing is especially when you go in the lane and you don't have that line anymore, you can't drive. You need to immediately be looking for a shooter, especially John Blackwell, who's the hottest shooter we have right now today. So that did bother me. And I think that hopefully as time goes on, this continues to gel. But at least they both had solid numbers today. They had 46 points combined. That's fantastic. But I'm assuming that that's going to get better and gel. If that continues, if there's a little bit of like a weird sort of dynamic between those two, and I'm not saying there's like any issues, but just like the on-court dynamic, I think that could definitely cause some issues later, and we need to make sure they play better together.
And Powell says 13 assists on their first 14 field goals, 0 turnovers. That was beautiful. Again, that's where this offense is going to be great, when they're pinging the ball around, when they're not playing ISO, when they're shifting the defense and hitting second side opportunities.
They stopped doing that. They stopped doing that.
Agreed. In the second half, we got stagnant, which is this team has struggled with at times this year. I do think we might need to adjust our expectations a little bit for what we want out of Boyd compared to what a prototypical point guard would do. Some point guards are just scoring guards. Some point guards are get downhill. I'm going to finish at the rim. That's my game. And if you double team me, I'll pass. But if it's one-on-one, I'm going to shoot the ball. I wonder, we're going to talk about Andrew Rohde in the next segment. I wonder if we need to shift around our expectations a little bit. Maybe Rohde's the playmaker, and then you have two scoring guards. We're going to talk about that next on Locked On Badgers. Plus, Rajiv's thoughts on player of the game and player he needed to see a little more from. All that coming up next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick second for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. Rajiv, NFL season is here. It moves fast. Live in-game betting is incredible because one big play can suddenly make everything feel different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets on as the action unfolds. So every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment, the live spreads and the money lines adjust immediately. The player props update as the game goes on. Tell me from your standpoint, because you go deep into these, how cool is that? Just being able to, in the moment, adjust to the lines, money lines, player props.
It's fantastic. And especially, first of all, it gets you more into the games that you're watching. And when you're watching the game, sometimes you can, as a watcher of the game, can have a feel for how you feel like things are going to go. How many times have you been watching the game? You're like, well, I knew they were going to get closer. I knew this was going to happen. Now you can actually put some money on that, and you can get all kinds of action in the middle of the game, which is super fun. It entices you to watch the game more, but also you can definitely cash in on some of those feelings that you've got.
So if you want to be right in the middle of the action, like Rajiv just said, visit FanDuel.com, place your live NFL bets all season long. Visit FanDuel. The game moves fast. And now thanks to FanDuel, so can you. All right, Rajiv, let's talk player of the game. I think we both know who this is, but we still got to acknowledge it. Who is your player of the game for this one?
I mean, John Blackwell was absolutely fantastic. He played incredible basketball. And I'll tell you, the post ups, the patience in the lane, he was attacking the rim. He played well defensively. I think he did well on Martinelli. I just love the way that he plays and the poise that he had tonight out there. And he wanted the ball. He was a killer out there. He's like, give me the ball. Like late in shot clock, anytime that we needed a shot in that first half, he was there. And off the ball, his movement off the ball was great tonight. He just does that. He has a really good feel for the court and how to move, how to get open, where to be. And he always seemed to find those open spots. Like, he's the best player on the court. And yet he found himself wide open multiple times because he moved well off the ball. Yeah, I can't say enough about him. There's another guy we got to talk about too. But yeah, Blackwell, definitely player of the game.
Yeah, I'll probably hit the next one that we're going to get to. But Blackwell, 5 of 10 from 3 and incredibly aggressive on the boards. On a night, quite frankly, where you probably could have used a little bit more from some of your other players on the glass. Blackwell led the team in rebounding, had 8 defensive boards. He was just into it, like physical, boxing out, mixing it up, getting to spots. I thought you had made a really good point. He moved really well without the ball today, cutting, but also shifting with drives to get himself open. 2 of those shots, and let's talk Andrew Rohde, 2 of those shots that Andrew Rohde hit him for, he's also positioning himself in the right spot. There's an old saying in coaching, the basketball is a camera. You got to get in its lens. So, some players will get blocked because they stay behind their defender or they don't move. Blackwell moved really well without the ball today. And then Andrew Rohde, 9 assists. Dude, I've been saying this all year, and I still get some people who are like, I don't know what you see in Andrew Rhodey. This is what I see in Andrew Rhodey. That man can score a bucket a game and impact it still tremendously because he is by far the best passer on this team. Left hand, right hand, off the bounce. His passing acumen is almost, I made the point, he had a turnover in the second half because I think he saw it before Rapp saw it. His passing acumen is so advanced. He sometimes throws passes because he's assuming someone else has seen the same thing he's going to see and they just don't. Dude, he's a wizard passing the ball, and he set up 3 or 4 easy shots today.
You could see Andrew Rhodey's confidence growing by the minute during that game. And I love to see that. Like you're right. He was seeing things, he was making good passes, but it was all about, and he knew how to do it too. He would draw defenders and then make that kick right at the right moment, right? He knew that if he would drive the lane here, the help defense would collapse out and he would have the immediate pass out to Blackwell or to Boyd or whatever. And that's really special because he sees those things and he's creating. He's basically a point guard, right? He's basically doing what we've wanted from a point guard for a while. And if Boyd's not going to be that true point guard, then really Rhodey could be that true point guard. And I love the energy that he brought, but you could see him growing within the game. And if he has that kind of confidence and he continues that over the next few weeks and gets more into that, like that's going to be really beneficial for Boyd and Blackwell because they're both going to be in good positions to shoot. And Rapp too. Like we have a whole team full of 3-point shooters, and he can find them. He also knows when to shoot, when to drive. He's not going to score a ton of points. That's fine. If he gives you 9 assists, 2 turnovers all day long, I'll take that. Like he was kickstarting this offense. He could have easily had another couple assists, but guys missed open shots in the second half that would have got him over that line. Yeah, I mean, unbelievable game from Rhodey. Just so fun to watch. I was in awe of what he was doing, and I'm like, this kind of thing can make the team so special, especially as you get into the grind of Big Ten play.
I wish he'd shoot more. He has a really nice 3-point shot. I wish he'd be even a little more aggressive offensively. If you're watching Rhodey, if you guys want to really go a little deeper on something, watch the way he passes. What makes him really unique is he never has to gather. Every pass he makes is off the right hand dribble, never picking it up. It's just little touch passes, left hand, right hand, off the bounce. When you don't have to gather it in 2 hands and really, make that motion, he's a half second ahead of where a lot of passers are because of that. He's really, really elite there. And again, I wish he would shoot more. I think he could be even better offensively if you attack a little bit more with his game because he's pretty skilled as well with the floater, the 3-point shot. And then if he starts doing that, you put teams in a quandary. If he starts scoring, Rajiv, with his ability to pass, there's your point guard, right? That's what I'm saying. Yep. There's your point guard. Put him in more pick and roll actions and let the other 2 guards score off of him.
For sure. I think like I'm okay with him being really just pass first. I think we don't have another guy that's pass first. Boyd is not pass first. We've learned that. But if he can be that pass first guy, you need that on this team because when you have this many shooters, he just can open up. He can open up lanes and shooting pocket. Not only does he pass the ball well, he puts it in the shooting pocket. Like he doesn't. Bill Blackwell didn't have to move on some of those. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, perfect. Okay, it's right here. I'm going to shoot now. It was great. I love that, and I want to see more of that. Like he needs to continue that, and I hope that today was a good start off, like a lift-off point for him to just continue to get better and make this team incredible.
Give me the player you wanted to see more from today.
So, I mean, Carrington off the bench, I just feel like I really like Carrington, and I wish he would have done a little bit more. And he took a few shots, but ultimately, I think Winter got himself into a little bit of foul trouble. He only had 4 boards tonight, which is much below what he typically does. He had 12 points. It wasn't a bad game for Winter, but I thought that Northwestern was out there for the taking. And once again, he caught the ball in the block and there was a foul called on him, but he was blocked. It was a clean block. And I just feel like he doesn't go up with that strength that he needs to at times. He's still really good. I just want him to be a step above. The other person is, I think, Boyd passing in the second half. I was very upset by that. I talked about it already. I just think that he needs to do that a little bit more. I don't want him to stop scoring. I just want him to be a little bit more unselfish, just a little bit. Like, I think we could be a lot better as a team if he used that athleticism that he has and that driving ability that he has, and then have some of those kicks that like Rhodey does. So I would say Boyd and Winter, probably the 2 guys that I'm like, they didn't have bad games, but we could have seen more from them.
Winter was the one I would go with. I'm going to go in a different direction just to not repeat. I think if you're Nolan Winter, you can't have 4 rebounds. And we would get after Stephen Crowell when he finished a game with 4 rebounds, deservedly so. I would as well. Like, I'm a Crowell guy. If you're the starting center, you can't have your 2 guard have twice as many rebounds as you. You just can't. Like, you need a little more there from Nolan Winter. I'm going to give you one that I want to see more from, although I am not necessarily disappointed in it because of where he's at in his career. Garlock's got to. I just want him to play a little more physical. He is so much bigger and more physically talented just as an athlete than anybody on the court. Anybody Northwestern's throwing at him. And he feels like he's playing timid still. I almost just want him to go out there, and I hope the coaches drill this into him. And listen, they know more about this than I do. But just say, dude, go run somebody over. Like, go box out somebody so hard, you put them out of bounds and they call a foul on you. Because it's not ever going to work for him perfectly unless he plays with just a type of unbridled aggression on the court, because that's going to have to be his game. It's going to have to be a controlled aggression. And it feels like he's playing a little soft. And he's a freshman. He's feeling his way. This is in no way me being out on Will Garlock. But I want to see him just really run somebody over and try to dunk on somebody. And I don't think we've seen that yet from him.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think we'll see that. And I hope that there's an opportunity for him to, if we're, blowing a team out, he can get more minutes. I mean, he had 9 minutes today, but if I could see him out there for, 17, 18 minutes for a game, not every game, but a game, to just get him out there and get him used to that level of competition. Yeah, I think, he will grow up and he will get better, and hopefully he continues to do that. But I agree. All of our bigs can be more physical. There's no reason they can't be physical. They're big. We're constantly talked about as one of the tallest teams in basketball, one of the tallest teams in the country. We don't play like one of the tallest teams in the country. So it's fine that we have our offensive system because it works and it's great and we're effective and efficient. But we can still add that physicality to make us that much more elite. Can you imagine, with our shooting ability and everything that we can do offensively, if we were more physical and we played a bit bigger, that could make our team unstoppable. And that's the one thing that just continues to be missing. And Garlock's a part of that.
But it's not going to happen this year. Because I hear you, but Lone Winter's not suddenly going to get a lot more physical mid-season his sophomore year? His junior year. He's not going to suddenly flip that switch. And it's just going to have to be in the offseason. I do want to ask you, because this is a comment we got starred comments to throw up on our next break. Is Elijah Gray the guy that we're missing that would have made this team more physical? We got some starred comments we're going to get into next on Locked On Badgers. I want to say thank you again for tuning in. Thank you again for making this the #1 sports podcast network. I really appreciate you. And thank you for making this one of your first listens. Today's episode is brought to you by our new sponsor of the show, Aura Frames. And listen, this is holiday season. You're buying gifts. It can be a little stressful to find the perfect gift. The holidays are here, and gift hunting is tough on some people. Some people are, quite frankly, hard to shop for. If you want something meaningful, personal, guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every single time. And it's not something you wrap. It's a way to share memories. It's a way to share the things we do in life with the people that we love in life. Because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it. So when they plug it in, the memories, videos are already there. There's no apps for grandma, grandpa to figure out, uncle to figure out, cousin, brother, sister, whatever it is. It's just instant smiles. It's memories. It's parents, newlyweds. It's your life that you can share with other people. And I've done this with our family. My mom and dad have one of these, and we share our kids' pictures on it. It's incredible. They love it. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com. Get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code COLLEGE. This deal is exclusive to listeners. The frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions do apply. Rajiv, let's talk some starred comments here. I'll give you the first one. Let's see. I want to go to Elijah Gray because there's a couple questions on Elijah Gray. Is he maybe the difference right here? Philip says, I keep pointing this out, but losing Elijah Gray is hurting them more than people think. He was a rim protecting defensive big with experience. Guard uses inexperienced guys to rest Winter.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll never know what he was going to be like on this team, but the reason we were excited when he signed with us is because he brought a profile that was physical and that was big and that was defensive. And yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, we can get by without him. Like, I think we're not going to be that much worse of a team without him, but he definitely would provide some important minutes off the bench, especially defensively, and especially bringing that physicality, which I feel like, looking at that's Garlock is getting those minutes that Gray would have got. And so, yeah, I mean, we're definitely missing something. Or is it a key missing piece that we're definitely going to be, not successful without? I don't think so. But could he have made this team better? Absolutely.
I would push back on this a little bit. I think he was a little kind of an out of control big. He drew a lot of fouls, but he also turned the ball over a ton. He didn't shoot it really well. I don't know how much he would have helped us, but he would have given you a veteran big, and he was kind of bouncy. So there were things he would have brought for sure. Rajiv, this is a question for both of us from Eric Matheson. I guess this is more of a statement. Last year's team runs circles around this one. I would say I think last year's team, unless this team gets better, and they will. We're early in the season. I think last year's team probably is better. If I had to say that right now, I'd like Crowell on the inside, Tanjay on the wing. It felt more cohesive. Again, I think Crowell gave you a lot that this offense is missing right now from an offense, defense, and a rebounding standpoint. I think this team still has a ceiling it can hit, and it's still growing. And last year, if we would have judged last year's team on 7 games, we might not have said the same thing either. But I do think last year's team was maybe more complete. I don't think it runs circles around this team, Rajiv, but I think it's more complete.
Yeah, I don't think it runs circles around the team, but yeah, certainly more complete. Crowell is a guy we're missing that profile, but Rhodey is an addition that last year's team didn't have. And I think that might be a bit of a trade-off. Like, we're going to be a better passing team with Rhodey, and especially if he has nights like tonight and he continues to grow. So that's a profile. And listen, John Tanjay is still John Tanjay. We're not replacing that. Nick Boyd goes a long way in replacing that offensive production. That certainly has helped. And Winter's growing offensive production. But like, you're missing Crowell, you're adding Rhodey. It's close, but I would still give the edge to last year's team.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. Rajiv, I'll give this one to you. Rhodey is our MVP thus far. Imagine our offense without him. Two-parter, is Rhodey the MVP? And if not, who is?
I don't think he's the MVP. I think right now, truthfully, it's probably Boyd, just because he has done the most in scoring. And while I don't always love the game that he's playing every week, I think he's still our MVP. Rhodey's critical to the team, and I want him to be better. I don't think he's been there yet because we haven't had a night like this from Rhodey until tonight. We've seen flashes of it, but tonight I felt like he didn't take a step out there, but like he clearly gained confidence. And if this is a liftoff point for him, then he certainly could become an even more important part of the team. Not MVP though.
I'd agree with you there. Charlie Anderson, Winter has been super disappointing. I would push back here. I don't think he's been as efficient and as kind of strong as I expected him to be. I don't think he's been super disappointing. There's been multiple games this year where post-game we've highlighted Winter as one of the top 2 or 3 players. He's been very efficient offensively for the most part. I think the step I wanted to see that I haven't seen is more of a consistent inside-outside. I'm a matchup nightmare. If you put a big guy on me, I'm going to pull you out. If you put a little guy on me, I'm going to go in the paint. We haven't seen that. And that's what I expected to see more of this year, is just really making it hard on defenses where I'm a matchup nightmare. I'm a 6'11" unicorn who's athletic, can shoot, and has touch around the rim. I shouldn't be guarded by you guys. Yeah, you're mere mortals. I'm Nolan Winter. That's what I expected to see more of this year, Rajiv. I haven't seen that, but I definitely don't think he's been super disappointing. He's been pretty efficient. He's been pretty safe with the ball. And several games, he's been one of the best players on the team for me.
Crowell being there made him look better and made him look like that's why one of the reasons he was more efficient last year. But I agree with you. And I've continued to say it, like, we need to see that piece of it, especially with all the weight he put on in the offseason, how much he talked about like getting bigger and getting stronger. And that, to me and to you and to everyone, was going to equate to more physicality on the inside we haven't seen yet.
Yep. I would like to see them get more involved in the offense as well. But some of that's him. Some of that he has to get more involved. Some of that is he has to roll really hard and offensive rebound and put it back.
And get into the post and demand the damn ball, man. Yeah. Like, get in there and put your hand up and say, give me the ball. Because people aren't going to be able to guard you in there. And maybe it's not just like typical post play. Maybe you could just go out there and shoot a fadeaway. You can score the ball from in there. He needs to demand it. He has to be more aggressive.
Yeah, I don't know what comment Mitch is responding to here, but I wanted to highlight this one. Mitch is dead on. He said it's hard to play fast and loose if the coach emphasizes every mistake. Playing with pace comes with a longer leash. This is something a lot of fans are still coming to terms with for the Badgers, because for 20 years, we've seen a short leash. We've seen a controlling coach. It was incredible. Bo Ryan was amazing. But if you made a turnover, you remember Sam Decker, the long walk to the bench. If you're going to play this pace, there's going to be more turnovers. There's going to be more bad shots. It's just the trade-off. It doesn't mean you have to live with every turnover either. There's a balance. We talk about it, but there does have to be a longer leash. Rajiv, any last thoughts on basketball? Because I do want to ping you really quickly on National Signing Day. Your very quick thoughts on that, kind of to take us out of this one. Any other final picture thoughts on this game for you?
Yeah, I just feel like this is great. It's a good start. 1-0 in the Big Ten is really important, and we cannot underestimate that. We play Nebraska and next week after we play Marquette. Big win, big game against Marquette, big game against Nebraska. That really sets us up for the start of the Big Ten season. Being in that 0-2 hole last year, we got out of it, but that was a tough place to be. It's nice that we got this win. We just need to keep rolling.
So I already did a show on kind of National Signing Day, some offensive recruits. I'm curious where you're at. I had Justin on. He talked about it a little bit. Obviously, he's a little frustrated with the Amari Latimer situation. All of us are bummed to lose him, obviously. Big picture, thoughts on National Signing Day, and maybe a quick thought on Amari Latimer from you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the profile of a lot of the guys that we brought in. I think in general, this class is underwhelming. There's certainly no doubt about that. I think there are some really important parts and some pieces that I personally like that might be a little bit further down the list, like a guy like Ben Wenzel, who I think could be an absolute stud for us. But I think, from a position standpoint, I really like the guys we flipped in, like the new receiver from Vandy and Brady Beckenhouse. I think those were some really good additions to the class. And securing Ryan Hopkins is very important. I've seen Ryan Hopkins play in person. He is very good, and I think he is a perfect addition to this team. So kudos to Kenny Guyton, who I know is his lead recruiter. Like that was a big win for this program, and I think that's really good because after everything that happened with Pettit and Latimer, like it could have he plays at Mater Dei. Like he is at one of the best high schools in the country for football, and everyone is watching him play. So the fact that he stayed with us is really important and a good win for the coaching staff. The Latimer situation just sucks. Like it's obviously sad that we lost him, but look, as I always say, this is a business. Okay. This kid, like, how long do careers last when you're a running back? Even if you make it to the NFL, you might have 2 or 3 years. Not everyone is like the guy behind me up there, Jonathan Taylor. Not everyone is like that. So when you get an opportunity to get paid for playing football, you take it. So if West Virginia is going to offer him more money, I'm not going to blame the kid for taking it. I blame us for not paying for it and being able to secure that. That's on Wisconsin. It's not on Latimer. Like this is the business we play in. Like we got the Vandy guy. It was his name. It's Thibodeau, or I feel like I say that wrong. Thibodeau.
Yeah, Keyshawn Thibodeau.
Yeah. Thibodeau, something like that. But like, so there's a perfect example. We were able to go get him by paying more money, and that's fine. So it stinks because Latimer's brother was here, and I felt like he was going to come here, and there was a lot of hype around him, and he could have been the next great Badger running back, but. Running back is also a position that we can build from the portal. We can. We do have other guys currently on the roster. Whether they all stay or not, we don't know. But we do have a good crop of running backs. It's okay. The most important thing is that we were able to go out and get some flips of our own, and we need to clearly build heavily in the transfer portal. We need to keep working to try to get this class to get more. And it's fine. It's underwhelming. It's a bit of a feeder class, a bit of an in-between class, not great, but I like the overall the positions we brought in, and I like the profiles of the guys that we have.
I think that you said that really, really well. Hanging on to Hopkins was a big deal. By the way, our late ads, you hit on a couple of them. I loved our late ads. There are our 3 late ads, the Brady Beckenhouse, the right tackle, I think is going to be really fun to watch develop. I love the receiver. Thibodeau, he's really explosive. Wiggins at running back is a really interesting guy. Yaya Gad is a long, lean kind of defensive end edge player. The point I made on a previous show, man, there's no reaches in this class to me. It's not a deep class. They didn't land enough bodies, and it's ranked 77th in the country for a reason. I'm not trying to paint that with rose petals, but I also feel like the guys they got, I kind of like all of them. They just needed like 12 more.
Yeah,
which is a big deal. That's a big deal. And you needed a few more high elite guys, which would have been the Latimer and the Petit. But I like every guy they got. I think it's a class with some players that could develop. And I agree with the Latimer thing.
And remember, like, you get these guys for 1 year right now. That's all you have them for, because the portal the sport is so different. Like, you have to re-recruit your entire roster every single season. So yeah, the 2026 class isn't necessarily great, but when they actually get here and they're here for a year or whatever, like we may have 7 more guys through the portal that were in the 26 class. We might end up with Latimer. We might end up with some of those guys that we were after. So not Latimer, but I mean, I feel like there's going to be other people. So we can supplement this class through the portal, because you're basically re-recruiting your entire roster every year. It's important that we bring in good classes, and important that we bring in good guys, but all these guys could be here for a year and leave anyway. So like, it's a different sport. So I think it's the focus on the size and the depth of that class sometimes can be a bit overplayed just because of the era of the transfer portal. But getting a quarterback that you can see projecting into the future, hopefully, because we keep talking about developing a quarterback. Ryan Hopkins, in my opinion, is a guy that we can develop and can become a multiple-year starter.
Love that. Protein Chic says, Ryan, why are you signing on the Old Dominion quarterback? Let's go get the guy from Cal. So the Old Dominion quarterback, again, we're shifting to portal talk really quick, and we'll end on this one. Colton Joseph, I kind of love him. And I get some of the Zach Bartz has talked to me about this. I think Rajiv, you have as well. Maybe not the best thrower.
Mhm.
He's 6'2", 210, 205. He ran for 178 yards against Indiana. I just like the physical tools a lot. I get it. He had games where he struggled throwing the ball, but I think if you're going to keep Jeff Grimes, which it looks like we're doing, and I think you're a fan of, this is the type of quarterback. This is the prototype you need in his offense. You need somebody who can run the ball, who can be mobile. I think he can do that at a high level. And I think in a system where ideally you should have a little more help at receiver than he had at ODU, I think he could be a good enough thrower. So that's why I'm high on him, but I get the concerns too.
Yeah, I wish he was a better passer, but yeah, the dude's a gamer. He's a gamer. I mean, he played really well against Indiana. Now, doesn't have they only played Indiana. They didn't really play a lot of other teams. So we don't know what he's going to be like in a full Big Ten schedule. But yeah, like I said, if we sign Colin Joseph, I'm here for it. I'll gladly take that.
Yeah, I would gladly take that. And the other thing with that quickly, I've heard from an intangible standpoint, I've heard he is absolutely elite. Like, he's a gamer, he plays hard, he's liked by his teammates, he's a leader. I had somebody that knows him pretty well that said this guy is all those things you want a quarterback to be in the locker room. Now they also have to be good, Rajiv, but he does all those other things you need a quarterback to do. So,
and you're hearing that he's interested. Are you? Is like there's
interest both ways on Colin Joseph.
That's important. That's important.
I've heard other names too. We'll see. And you're going to have to spend for him. This is going to be a guy who's going to be near the top of the quarterback market. So we'll see. I think you and I both talked about spending money. Now we got to see it, Rajiv. It's got to happen.
Show me the money. Absolutely.
Show me the money. All right, everybody, on Wisconsin. Thank you so much. Badgers get a W today. Want to know in the Big Ten. That's what we're celebrating. We will definitely talk later. Go check out all of Rajiv's work as always. And I hope everyone is just having an incredible start to the December holiday season coming up. Be safe, be happy. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Thank you for supporting this show and a bunch of content coming up later.